Welcome to Embody Your Brilliance, a podcast for visionary daughters of immigrants and creative entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Eunice Kimian, somatic life and business coach, mom, and Korean American eldest daughter of immigrants. Each week, you'll hear stories, insights, and conversations to help you embody your unique brilliance beyond survival mode, so that you can design a life you actually want and grow a peaceful, profitable business you're proud of that supports you. Hi everyone, welcome back to Embody Your Brilliance. I'm your host, Eunice Kimian, and I'm so excited for this week's episode around K-Pop Demon Hunters, the Netflix movie that I'm obsessed with. And before we get into it, I wanted to start by inviting you to my upcoming somatic visibility workshop called Safe to Shine on Thursday, August 7th. If you resonated with K-Pop Demon Hunters, you're going to love this. It's all about unblocking your visibility fears so that you can finally do the thing that you know you want to do, launch the offer, the business, send that email for outreach or raising your rates or just being seen in your full brilliance. Details are in the show notes. I hope you join me. It's going to be Leo season vibes. It's going to be so much fun. And we're going to do a guided somatic visualization, incorporating parts work. And we'll also have some time for coaching. So go to the show notes to sign up. And I hope to see you there. Okay, so let's talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters. So I decided to watch this movie because one of my clients and dear friends strongly recommended that I watch it because she told me it reminded her of our work together and our sessions. And after watching it, I agree. There were so many elements of it that resonated with me that felt parallel to my journey, my story, and personally, just as a Korean American, I just felt a lot of joy in seeing little references like the 컵라면 and the 찜질방 reference and the Hanok village, just how they portrayed the K-pop culture, and the animation was so good. The magpie and tiger characters were so funny, and how that's also a cultural reference with Gachi and Horangi. And yeah, there were just like so many visual creative choices that I really, really resonated with and appreciated. So, I mean, that alone is enough to watch this movie. And the music is so good too. But what I want to talk about in this episode is how it really resonates with my healing and visibility journey, and how it illustrated what I always talk about when it comes to visibility and feeling safe to shine. So let's talk about that. By the way, if it's not already clear, spoiler alert, we're going to get into all of it. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, I would pause, watch the movie, and then come back. So first of all, I really love how the movie starts by sharing the context, the historical and generational context of how these demon hunters, the performing artists that are dancers, singers, artists, they're the protectors of the people, and they're like these spiritual warriors defending the people against these demons, and how it used to look like these performers in traditional Korean hanbok, and then how they just got passed on through these other girl groups or other musicians. And as a traditional Korean dance enthusiast, I loved how they portrayed that the demon hunters have always been artists generationally, singers, dancers, performers who protect and heal through their gifts. And that's how I also see creatives as visionary, as healing, facilitating generational healing. And I also love how Kima, which is played by the same guy who plays Squid Game. So I feel like it all makes sense. Like the voice sounded so familiar as soon as he started talking. But it's interesting because we never see Kima's face, and it's just this fiery, volcanic, hidden embodiment of shame and our fears and inner critic. It's like how you can't really quite place where this voice is coming from, what it looks like. It seems almost like evil, but we don't actually know Kima's backstory. So we don't know who he is, how he ended up that way. who hurt him, you know? Like, what happened in his life for him to feel like the only way he'll live or he'll find joy is to eat other human souls. So I'm personally interested in the backstory of Krima. I heard that the director of K-pop Demon Hunters is potentially open to sequels and all of that, which I'd be so down for. So yeah, I thought that was just very interesting. Like, who is Krima, you know? Because I feel like a lot of us have some sort of Krima within us, where it's like that voice that's just kind of saying, oh, you're not good enough, or you need to do more, or whatever that inner critic voice is. I feel like part of the work that I do with my clients a lot, with daughters of immigrants, is understanding where is that voice coming from and what is that voice needing in that moment. Even just how Rumi's demon marks represents all the parts of us that we're taught to hide, like our flaws, fears, and too muchness, and just how Celine, her maternal figure, always told them, your flaws and fears must never be seen, is such an Asian mom, Asian parent thing, I feel like, of brushing the quote unquote ugly things or uncomfortable, unpalatable things underneath the rug and just like presenting yourself with all your best parts and either hiding or ignoring and keeping all the shameful parts just private. And I think it's what also keeps a lot of us from just sharing our magic and showing up, whether it's online or offline. Because this feeling of hiding our flaws and hiding our fears, it is such an active verb. Like hiding is an active verb. It's an exhausting act of being hyper vigilant, of actively trying not to be seen. It's a very fear-based posture. And so when it comes to being visible, like how many of us, how many daughters of immigrants are constantly oscillating between wanting to be seen and also really scared of what might happen if we are seen, you know? And it reminds me of a meme. One part is like my desire to be seen, and then my desire to not be perceived. And I feel like that's so real. Like it's so common for a part of us to want to be seen, to shine. And then also there's a part of us or multiple part of us being like, no, I want to hide. I don't want to be seen or perceived. I just want to be safe and protected. And yeah, like your faults and fears must never be shown ties into what happens with that deeply protective parenting that can happen in immigrant households that results in hiding and also disconnecting from ourselves. Because when we're hiding our fears and flaws, we're disconnecting with parts of us. Ultimately, all parts of us want to feel like they're being heard and they're being validated. And if we're actively hiding those parts, we're not really validating those parts as worthy. So much of how I support daughters of immigrants, creative entrepreneurs is how can we integrate these so-called flaws into how you express yourself, not in a masochistic way where it's like, let's just talk about all your weaknesses and flaws and bring them to the surface, but how can we allow the parts of us that we love to shine? And also, how can we integrate the parts of us that we're so afraid of sharing? And how can we integrate that in ourselves and really view ourselves and those parts with deep compassion, such that you actually love all parts of yourself, even the uncomfortable, unpalatable, too much, too little parts, right? How can you love those quote unquote demon marks, the parts that we're taught to hide, because that level of integration and congruence is what creates true brilliance and power. Because on a human nervous system level, the most magnetic people and the most resonant expressions are when who they are, the full spectrum of who they are, all parts of them feel integrated and they're just being real because they're not hiding or they're not manipulating or distorting their truth. And that's what happens when we are so intent on hiding. And so it's not to say that if it doesn't feel safe to not hide certain parts, I'm not saying you have to reveal them, but it is just something that I just resonated with because similar to Rumi, I think part of my journey is like, how can I reclaim and relove the parts of me that I thought were too much or too intense or things I regret in the past or just different parts of me that I thought I needed to either omit or hide or shapeshift so that I only showcase the parts of me that I think are going to be loved or palatable, right? So, like, by me self censoring and self editing, it's already distorting my frequency and distorting the true power of my fully integrated real self. So that's just where I'm at in my visibility journey of constantly cultivating inner safety in my body and working with my parts and validating them so that all parts of me are feeling safer to show up in my business, in my life, in my creative expression. And the song Golden that I am just so obsessed with, and I'm playing it over and over again, is I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. And I love that because it's a birthright, right? It's so much of my healing journey and also my entrepreneurship journey is coming home to who I am and returning to the fullness of myself and unlearning and removing certain conditionings or messaging or stories I've told myself because that's what society or my upbringing or generationally, ancestrally was passed down to me. So I love that it's something that I get to reclaim versus externally, right? And so I think of us as gems. We're all gems of different colors, different sizes, different cuts. How can we just allow our natural brilliance to shine, like our natural zones of genius? It doesn't have to look the same. And all our flaws are part of that beauty. And I know it's easier said than done. And there's the other lyric, I'm just going to start quoting lyrics, but that other song that I really love, they talk about the scars are part of me, darkness and harmony. I should have let the jagged edges meet the light instead. And we're shattering the silence, we're rising defiant, shouting in the quiet, you're not alone. And it's so true. Like the more we actually allow our quote unquote marks, our jagged edges, meet the light and we talk about it, Kima's voice actually loses its power because Kima's voice or our inner critic or whatever you want to call it is the loudest when we're so deep in shame. And I feel like hiding is very much a protective mechanism. It's protecting shame or protecting these other very, very painful or vulnerable feelings. And so if you let some of the jagged edges meet the light instead, then that shame, that protective measure loses some of its power. And how can we feel safer to allow some of these jagged edges to not be so hidden and like reclaim them, right? I also love, I think it's Mira's part where it's I was called a problem child because I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid. I feel like the lyrics are so powerful because it reflects also how I view my entrepreneurship journey. And I think of my clients, I think of other daughters of immigrants who are reclaiming their too muchness as their magic. And with my own visibility journey of this relaunching my podcast, the upcoming Safe to Shine somatic visibility workshop, reclaiming my voice as a business owner, as a mom, as a coach, as all the different roles that I play in my life, and allowing all parts of me to shine and to show up. Even the parts, for example, the startup business growth strategist in me, I always told her she's too intense. She is too much. She's smart, but maybe people will think you're bragging or why are you talking about those strategies right now? We're supposed to be healing. So it's like, I would just shun her away, and I would only bring her out in corporate or in just different environments and not in my business. And so inviting that part of me into the picture, and that's one of my quote unquote jagged edges, it actually has made my business so much better and so much more effective, so much more profitable, so much more peaceful because I'm not spending so much energy trying to push down and suppress that part of me in an effort to be more palatable, to be more relatable. And it's like, no, it's the most compelling when all parts of me are able to just breathe and you're no longer leaking energy trying to edit yourself. So you can just be your natural self. And what I view as a key component of this whole thing is safety, right? And it makes sense why the protector in us are so intent on trying to hide the mark. For example, when Rumi is thinking about sharing her marks with Mira and Zoe, Celine's like, no, you cannot. And it really reinforces the fear. Her deepest fear is that Zoe and Mira are gonna leave her or think she's really bad because she has these demon marks. And the thing is, her fear is actually very valid, right? Like in her past, people have left her because of the demon marks and also have judged her. And when she first reveals it, well, or when it was revealed, Mira and Zoe basically leave her. And so I do feel like a lot of our fears are just so valid. And I'm not a believer in just like, oh, get over it, or why are you so hypervigilant? Or why do you think that the world's going to end? Because it probably can feel that way, And I really want to validate the parts of us that are really freaking out about this. That said, we don't need to just take that feedback from our part and just not take the action. It's like, how can we validate that part? And also, what we want to get to isn't trying to shine, but more like how can we feel safe to shine, right? So yeah, I'm just really, really obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. Like the music is so good. I want to watch it again. And while it's a fun, beautiful movie, I also feel like it's a metaphor for a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast: unlearning shame, reclaiming the power of our voice, and reclaiming our zone of genius and feeling safe to shine, and healing through sharing our magic. So, if this episode resonated with you and you loved the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, come join me at Safe to Shine, my somatic visibility workshop that's coming up. You'll walk away with more clarity, with more nervous system support, and a deeper sense of what's actually been holding you back and the first step to move forward from that. The sign up link is in the show notes. And if you're ready for deeper personalized support, I have a few openings for one-on-one somatic business coaching. We can work together on visibility, putting your offer out there, clarifying your offer, figuring out ways to increase your profit in a peaceful way in your business to make it financially viable, to show up in a more integrated way as your whole self, and figure out what your zone of genius is in order to align your highest level skill set and your passion with the work that you're doing. We can work on one or all of those things. It's 6 months biweekly coaching and Voxer support, voice note, and text coaching in between. I absolutely love this work and would love to be part of your journey too. So book a one-on-one clarity call, a no pressure call, and you'll leave with more clarity as well as a good idea of whether or not it's a great fit of working together. So if you're interested, book a call and I look forward to connecting with you. All right, see you in the next one.